Hundreds of colleges and universities have sent students home because of the coronavirus. But one university is bringing students back to campus during this crisis. About 1,900 students have returned to Liberty University. That's a private evangelical Christian university in Lynchburg, Virginia. There is still a statewide ban in effect there on gatherings of more than 10 people. Joining us now is Jerry Falwell, Jr. He is the president of Liberty University. President Falwell, thank you for being here. So just explain the thinking here, that as we see the cases spiking, the number of deaths spiking, what's the rush? Why have students come back to campus in the middle of this?
First of all, most of the press reports have been false. Liberty did not reopen. Liberty has between 1,000 and 2,000 students on a campus built for 15,500, and almost 1,000 of those are international students who have nowhere else to go. Others have no place else to be except in their dorms. We don't know how many students have come back to town and moved into their apartments off campus, but we decided early last week, when the governor said no classrooms over 100 people, to go completely online. There's only a few medical labs in the medical school, nursing school, that have less than 10 people in accordance with the governor's orders. And so these reports have been overblown. The false reports started with the local newspaper article here that was just irresponsibly written. But we appreciate you allowing me to come on and clear it up.
Well, thanks. We appreciate the real information. So let's just go through it. So your dormitories are open, yes, that's true, correct?
Dormitories, yeah. Liberty has become, the campus has become more like an apartment complex than a university. All the education is being done online. All the restaurants are serving takeout only. We're wiping down every surface that's touched off on every hour. We have extra police, we've really, you know, we're very unique in that we started external education back in 1985. Yeah. And so by 2000, it was all online. We've become one of the largest online universities in the country. So we felt like we had a responsibility as a Christian university to make education available to as many as possible. Yeah. Online throughout this crisis, because there are going to be pandemics like this in the future, and I think it's the only way to do it safely.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so many of our kids are now doing e-learning because of all of this. But I just want to be clear. So quickly, is your library open?
The academic buildings are open, but there's signs on every other chair. Do not sit here. Keep distance between you, the person next to you. In the computer labs, only every third computer works, so they don't sit next to each other. So the Virginia Department of Health did an inspection, and the boss sent a message. He said he wanted to talk to someone about the fantastic infection prevention practices our health inspectors observed while on your campus today. We got that message yesterday. So we spent all last week and hours and hours and hours of meetings with my whole staff, making sure that the few that did come back to campus, and it looks like a ghost town. It looks like a ghost town. The reason some of them are leaving now to go back and study at home is because none of their friends are here.
Understood. So a lot of places look like a ghost town. But I just want to be clear on your message, because I don't know that it's getting out to your professors, or at least some of them, as well as the mayor. So as you probably know, one of your English professors, Mary Beth Badgett, says that she believes that you're still putting faculty, herself included, and students in danger, because she says that you still are asking them to hold office hours. Is that true?
No. She and her husband are good friends. They're both faculty members. I've been in contact with them the last couple of days. She wrote that op-ed last week before she knew what all the practices. Everybody was on spring break when she wrote that. So she had no idea what the final decisions were going to be. Those decisions were made yesterday. All faculty are teaching from home with something called Microsoft Teams, where they can put every student on a little square box on a TV screen on their computer. Every student can talk to each other, have discussions, and the office hours that were required before spring break are now optional for professors. They can do all their conferences with students by phone, and that decision was just made yesterday. So
okay, good to know.
Everything was in a fluid situation all week. The governor's orders were changing, and so we were not able to get all the messaging out until towards the end of the weekend. So she didn't do anything wrong. She just didn't have information. And the mayor.
Okay. Let's talk about the mayor, because Mayor tweeted, just so that I'm clear, because she put out a statement just yesterday who said, I was very surprised and disappointed to learn of the decision, of President Falwell's decision to allow students back on campus. We're in the middle of a public health crisis. I'm concerned for the students and employees. So what's your message to her?
And she also said in that message that when she and I spoke early last week, that I told her the dorms would be open because we have so many international students. I never told her it would be closed to anyone else. We didn't have many show up, and we're that's their choice. The students decide whether they want to be here or study at home. And so she's wishing they weren't here, but we really, who knows how many came back to live in their apartments off campus. We really don't have control over it, but what we can do is make sure that they're safe when they're here. And that's what we've done. But she and I are friends. We just, I think the city manager made a statement yesterday that, yes, I told her we were going all online. They were thrilled. They issued a statement thanking Liberty for doing that early last week. But she said, you made us think the dorms were going to be closed. But I said, no, because I told you about the international students. So misunderstanding between people who are good friends. I have greatest respect for both the city manager and the mayor.
Good to know. We appreciate that clarification. Now to churches. Are you encouraging people to still go to church and fill churches during this time? I'm sure you heard the president yesterday say that he's hoping at Easter churches are packed.
I'm not a pastor. My brother is, and he's doing all his services online. He sent out a message this weekend asking families to gather around their computers and watch the service, and I think that's what most churches are doing. And I just don't think we can take this thing too seriously. It's something we don't understand. It's something, the H1N1 virus back in 2009 had 300,000 Americans in the hospital, 60 million had contracted the virus, 17,000 died. But we didn't see the response back then that we've seen from President Trump and from the media. And so I think we're taking this one a lot more seriously, and I'm glad we are.
You're glad we're taking this one seriously. You don't think we're taking it too seriously?
I'm glad we're taking it a lot more seriously than we did H1N1, because that one was arguably in the same ballpark as far as how severe it was. A lot more deaths, but I don't know where this one's going to end up.
No one does. No one does.
Nope.
It's impossible to know where this one's going to end up. And I do remember, from my recollection, the media and the government taking H1N1 seriously, so I'm not sure of that comparison. But just in terms of, President Trump was sort of engaged in what some medical experts think was wishful thinking about Easter. But are you saying that he's getting ahead of himself and we should wait to see what happens?
Well, all last week we consulted with medical experts in New York City and locally here. And, he's a CEO. He's running this whole pandemic like you would hope a CEO would. And so it's his job to be upbeat, to get people thinking about getting back into their normal course of life, because we can't afford to be shut down more than a month or two. I don't know what it might do irreparable harm to our country. So he has no choice but to push hard to get this behind us, and I'm glad he's doing that.
Yeah. Obviously we need real information as well, and it would hurt our country if there were, tens of thousands or more people dead as well. But either way, President Jerry Falwell Jr., we really appreciate you coming in and clarifying what you're doing at Liberty. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much.